Hi everybody, we're going to make a start now for today's Teacher Development Network meeting live. I'm going to start off with an apologies. We have a really heavy thunderstorm over our house at this moment in time, so I'm hoping it's not too noisy for you and interfering with the microphone and so on. If it is, if somebody wants to just give a quick shout out, that'd be really appreciated, and I'll go on mute and hand over to a colleague. So I'm just going to keep letting colleagues in who are just joining us a little bit late. If you just bear with me, I'll just let those colleagues in. Okay, in terms of today's event, I'm delighted to be here with you all this afternoon. We're going to really focus on the early career framework. We want to try and give you as much detail as we can in a relatively short briefing. Rather than talking about the generic aspects of the early career framework that we've covered in previous sessions, we're really going to focus in on some of the finer detail of the Ambition Institute offer that we as Bradford Teaching School Hub will be offering from September and taking registrations for now. Really delighted to be joined today by my colleagues Emma Dobson, who works with me within the Teaching School Hub, and also Leah Woodridge from Ambition Institute, who's going to do a guest input in today's session for us. At this point, I'm going to very quickly hand over to Emma, but just with a quick reminder, we are recording today's session. Please turn off your camera if you don't want to be caught on that recording. If you just stay on mute for a period, that would be great, but we will try and bring colleagues in to ask questions at set points. And then finally, we do have that chat function. So if you have any questions that you want to ask during the session, please do feel free to send those across to us using the chat, and we'll keep an eye on that. Okay, so hand over to you, Emma.
Thanks, Paul, and welcome everybody. Really nice to see you all. I thought we'd begin this network session just by kind of giving you a very brief whistle-stop tour as to why we chose Ambition. So some of the nuggets that we felt were really positive about our choice and the due diligence process that we went through. First and foremost, we were really impressed with their curriculum, which is a progressive curriculum, and just in terms of its content and concepts, it's an evidence-based curriculum that's progressive and really does connect theory to practice and gives multiple opportunities for early career teachers to visit key learning over the 2 years. So we really liked that. One of our big favourites is sort of the regular bite-sized learning that the curriculum affords. It's based on sort of a granular approach of little and often. And research does tell us that this approach on a weekly basis does lead to consistent habit change in classroom practice. So we really like that about the curriculum. Cognitive science does also tell us that we can only learn things, a few things at once, and that we can forget a lot of what we learn, especially if we're giving too much information at once. So we really liked how this curriculum is broken down into sort of granular small bite sizes. And one of the phrases that sort of caught us with this was the own it, see it, get it, use it, and keep it. And I know that Leah probably will go into a little bit more detail about this when she talks you through sort of the curriculum content. We are going to go to the next slide, please, Paul. Another key thing that we really liked about this is practice makes permanent, and that really is sort of at the heart of this programme if we think about the concept of instructional coaching. So early career teachers will receive weekly instructional coaching with this programme. So in addition to seeing what theory looks like in practice, they really get that sort of guidance and opportunity to put that practice into their own school and classroom themselves, with weekly support from a mentor as well. Classroom practice examples, again, within the curriculum, it really does exemplify that it's important to understand why certain techniques work in the classroom, but critical that teachers and mentors can see what that looks like in practice. And the curriculum really has lots of exemplifications and videos of real teachers putting these concepts that are evidence-based into practice. So they really get to see what it looks like in a real life setting. Another great thing that we liked about it is it enables self-regulation for our early career teachers. So they really sort of gain that knowledge of how to manage and improve and be responsible for their own improvements through familiar routines. Again, that will I'll kind of go back to, and I'm sure Leah will add detail to, the own it, see it, get it, use it, keep it sort of mantra to this curriculum, whereby it's got sort of familiar routines that are embedded and repeated that really do sort of impact on that deliberate practice and learning. Thanks, Paul. Can you go to the next slide, please? This was actually a big one for us, the flexibility that the curriculum offers. Having been part of the early rollout, we were very much aware that a lot of our early career teachers across Bradford were concerned about the impact that this curriculum can have on your workload because of the intensity of the weekly engagement. One of the things that we were really drawn to with Ambition's offer is how they've integrated purposeful pauses into their curriculum. So although the curriculum is progressive, as I've said, and interlinked, there are opportunities for these purposeful pauses based on the early career teachers' training needs. So for example, if a mentor felt that they needed to spend a little bit more time on something to do with behaviour management or pedagogy or curriculum, there's that autonomy there to kind of press pause and not plough through the curriculum week by week, sort of as a matter of sort of a tick box exercise. Also, oh, sorry, Paul, if you just go back just a little bit, also just to point out again, this curriculum is very flexible in terms of understanding that schools are very busy places and that there may be weeks that encounter assessments or residentials. And again, there's that moment to pause and you don't have to plough through the curriculum. There's sort of a 2-year period where you can go back and revisit certain concepts. Thanks, Paul. And finally, we feel that the training and the support that mentors are given throughout this programme is absolutely excellent, and that this programme, as I'm sure Leah will allude to as well, is not just a training programme for early career teachers, it's also for mentors. There's a lot that can be gained from sort of the mentor training and the one-to-one coaching that they receive throughout the 2 years of this induction programme. And finally, again, which we thought was that enables a bespoke offer, is that the face-to-face cohort sizes of clinics within this programme are small. So that really does allow for that personalised relationship to be built up between visiting fellows, which are our facilitators, and our early career teachers. So that's the why, if you like, why we made that choice. So I think I'm going to hand back over to Paul or Leah now, who I think will be expanding on the curriculum in a lot more depth.
That's lovely. Thanks so much. So as Emma said, my name's Leah Waldridge and I'm a delivery partner lead on the Ambition Early Career Programme. So I will be working with Paul and Emma and with you and your schools to make sure that the rollout of the programme is as smooth and as successful as it possibly can be. I think it's possibly useful to start off by situating the programme in amongst the more sort of wide changes that are taking place within teacher development. Now, evidence tells us that professional development is the highest impact way to improve teaching and leadership. And the evidence is also very clear that the most effective teachers have the power to narrow the gap between what pupils from disadvantaged backgrounds learn and what their more advantaged peers learn. And of course, like you at Ambition, we want every child to be taught by an expert teacher working in a school led by expert leaders who all have the opportunity to continually improve their skills. So the new early career framework, along with the new MPQs, focus on what teachers and school leaders need to know and be able to do to have an impact at every point in their career. And it identifies this idea of the golden thread, a golden thread of development which educators should have access to at every stage of their careers, from initial teacher training all the way through to leadership or teacher development, depending on the route they chose to take. So as Emma said, our curriculum very much builds on initial teacher training. It then leads into the further development that those teachers might choose to take part in later in their career. But the ECF focuses on the development of new teachers, and it does through a programme of support which aims to build their self-efficacy. But as Emma mentioned, it's also a mentor development programme to professionalise and raise the profile of the role. The ECT programme really does focus on mentor development, building capacity within your schools and within the sector. Now, I'm aware that the ECF might be something that you're becoming very familiar with now, so I won't spend too long on this, but just a few important things to flag because they have implications for our programme. So when the framework comes into use nationally next academic year, of course, induction periods for new teachers will increase from 1 to 2 years. That framework has essentially provided us with a really robust curriculum of content to be covered during those 2 years, in the form of a series of Learn That and Learn How To statements. So that early career teachers develop bodies of knowledge and they're able to use them to inform classroom practice. We often refer to this as the get it, do it gap, the move from being able to solely understand something to being able to understand something and implement it within the classroom. And again, because that role of the mentor is so vital, it specifies how many hours a week an early career teacher and mentor should work together and lays out the need for a really robust offer of training to help mentors excel too, which is something we've very consciously built into our programme. A really important feature of the framework, of course, is that it's an entitlement to support and training. It's not an assessment framework. Its focus lies solely with helping new teachers and therefore their pupils reach their full potential. So an overview of really how we've shaped that curriculum that we were given by the ECF. We have drawn on the best available evidence around how professionals learn. Emma mentioned there the importance of cognitive science in what we do, and we've aimed to create a programme that exploits the way that we know everybody learns, from children through to adults, to deliver the content of the early career framework in a way that will not only have a lasting impact on NQT knowledge and practice, but that will do so while respecting the really busy and demanding working lives that they lead. So the early career teachers programme is split into 3 strands: behaviour, instruction and subject. Behaviour tends to be covered in the first term, instruction in the second and subject in the third. This cycle is then repeated in year 2. And by covering these 3 strands, actually teachers will cover all 8 areas of the early career framework. A key message here is that regardless of when an early career teacher starts their career next year, whether it be September, January, later on in the year, they will be able to access the programme at the correct starting point. So they can begin at the beginning of the programme when they begin their induction period. Equally, if you have any early career teachers who are working part-time, we can flex the programme to suit them. So for instance, someone on a 0.5 contract would be able to access the programme over 4 years as opposed to 2, if that's something that they felt was more appropriate. So let's have a look at the progress and sequence within one of these strands, and we'll focus on behaviour here. I'll give you just a second to sort of cast your eyes down. Essentially, this is what your early career teachers will be studying each week. So within each of the strands, many areas are revisited and built upon. This reflects the kind of interlinked nature of teaching knowledge, and also the importance of revisiting and reinforcing core knowledge and ideas, just as your teachers would do with their classes in the classroom. We know that early career teachers will have been introduced to much of this content as part of their initial teacher education. But as Emma mentioned, it's really important. We know that this knowledge is built on through that curriculum and really helps them translate theory into practice and close that know it, do it gap. In terms of how they'll do this, each week, teachers will access online content on the strand. We have a bespoke learning platform called StepLab, where your early career teachers will be able to access that reading, those videos that we provide in a quick and timely manner. The content that we provide aims to break down those bigger ideas into small, manageable chunks and provide clear models of what good looks like in practice. And then this will be built upon by their mentor, who will observe them once a week in a very low stakes manner, a 10-minute drop into a classroom, and select an action step or a target from within this topic based on their highest area of kind of need or improvement, and use that to inform their weekly instructional coaching sessions. So, as I've said previously, we know that teacher and leader CPD is one of the most effective ways to raise attainment. Therefore, we've chosen to place our bets on the best evidence form of CPD which is available, and that is instructional coaching. Now, I won't go into too much detail here, as all participants on the programme will receive really robust instructional coaching training at the start of the programme. But essentially, instructional coaching involves that short, low-stakes observation and then a meeting between the early career teacher and mentor, where one very small aspect of teaching practice is modelled by the mentor, so the teacher can see what that looks like in their own context. It's then discussed to build those mental models, and it's then practiced by the teacher in a very intentional way while they receive bespoke feedback on how they're getting on. And this allows the teacher, before they begin to use it in their classroom, to really understand and embed it. And we know that it raises the chances of them taking what they've learned and actually implementing it within their class. So this is the sort of the thinking behind focusing on these very granular aspects of teaching practice. We allow them to confidently master small chunks at a time, and those small improvements soon accumulate and drive rapid progress. I'll just let you have a quick look at this slide, and this is what a typical week on the programme would look like for an early career teacher and their mentor. So this is designed to take around about an hour a week, short, sharp and regular. And Emma mentioned the idea of a sort of continuous structure which we use. It's been a very intentional part of our design that each week should have the same structure. There's a few benefits to this. It allows both the mentor and the early career teacher to build this into their routine, to build habits, and it really allows them both to focus on the content rather than thinking of the kind of the method of delivery, if you like. It also means that we can put in place these intentional pauses. So we can use that structure to repeat the same content or similar content if the early career teacher needs to keep the same focus for a few weeks. Equally, we know what things are going to be like in schools next year, because they always are, whether we have a more normal year or not. There will be absences, there will be residentials, there will be assessment weeks. If your early career teacher misses a week, they don't need to catch up. They can simply start that cycle afresh when they're ready to return. So we've covered a lot of information about the sort of the what and the why. As we come to the end of this session, I just want to give you a more broad overview of the year. We've looked in a little more detail at that weekly instructional coaching session, but there is much more provision beyond that. So both mentor and early career teacher to start the year will take part in a day-long conference that will equip them with everything they need to know for the year. So for the early career teacher, it's going to be embedding self-study habits, what they can expect. And for their mentors, it's going to be an introduction to that all-important instructional coaching. They'll then attend another conference during year one, slightly later on. For early career teachers, that's a deep dive into pedagogy. So that will be focusing, I believe, this year on responsive teaching. And for your mentors, another chance to really deepen their understanding of instructional coaching. Early career teachers will attend 3 clinics over the course of the year. This is this 15 to 20 person group session with an expert facilitator from your network, where they'll take a deep dive into some of the ECF content that's less coachable. For example, early literacy, well-being, and other aspects of teaching that are not necessarily going to come up in coaching, but are very, very important. And for your mentors, their clinics will be a chance to network with other mentors from other schools to again deepen their understanding of the coaching model with an experienced facilitator. And then they'll receive that all-important one-to-one coaching training, where they'll be able to get bespoke feedback on how they're doing from an experienced coach and build their practice in that way. So that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour through our programme. I hope it was useful, but I will pause there and hand back over to Paul. But if there are any questions, please do let me know.
Thanks, Leah. One question did come through, which I'm very proud of myself. I think I was able to answer, and it was a question from Lillian just around, does the mentor build upon the online study that the ECT engages with, such as accessing the videos and the reading summaries?
That's a really good question, and thank you, Paul, for answering that. If I can just share that more widely, because I think it's something that's really beneficial for mentors, which I haven't covered there, is that yes, any self-study that the early career teachers access, mentors will also have access to. They have a little more kind of autonomy over how and when they study, but yes, they've got that bank of resources to draw on as well.
I think there it's another good example of how this is investing in the mentors as well as the ECT. You know, it's giving them access to the latest research, and I think we saw during the early rollout that was a great opportunity for new learning to be disseminated across the school as well. So just as the ECT engages, actually there's some good resources there to be sharing right across the school as well.
Okay.
There's another question that's come up from Louise. Where you have multiple mentors and early career teachers, more than 20 in total, is it vital that all attend the head teacher half-term 1 induction day? Obviously, there's a concern there around cover for staff.
Of course. So if you are at a large school and you've got multiple mentors, we do still ask that all mentors attend. It's such a large part of what they're doing, is the instructional coaching, that really to feel confident and equipped to carry that out, it's really important that they do attend wherever possible. I think if there were concerns about capacity and release, especially, of course, you don't want 20 teachers out on the same day, that would possibly be a discussion within the network, and certainly something that I can help with in terms of timetabling there.
Thank you. I think this next question is about synchronous and asynchronous learning, but also I think about the timing of clinics and conferences. So Mr. Platt asks, how would this work in a school with 5 NQTs, or early career teachers, as we're training ourselves to refer to them as? Would all the mentors need to be released at the same time as the NQTs, or would it be more beneficial for the NQTs to be released at the same time?
So it will vary for different aspects of the programme, so correct me if I've misinterpreted the question. But for the weekly coaching, it is important that there is some release time for, firstly, the mentor while the early career teacher is teaching, so that they can drop in and do that observation, and then that they can find that time to meet together at the same time. For the clinics, we would suggest, because clinics are separate for early career teachers and for mentors, that your mentors are released to attend theirs, and then separately at a separate time your early career teachers are released there.
I think I'd just add to that, obviously, in terms of the self-study materials, they can be accessed at any time within the week. There's not a fixed time that colleagues have to go on those. They're asynchronous, so they're online. You can access them at an appropriate time. With things like the clinics, then we'll be looking to have multiple clinics available. So, you know, colleagues would be able to choose which group they attended. So you wouldn't need everybody to be at a clinic at the same time. Actually, that could be spread across a week or several weeks, depending on how we structure that delivery. Okay, no more questions have come through, but there's plenty of opportunity for colleagues to keep adding those questions as we go along the session. Leah, would you mind if I just share my screen now? Thank you. So really conscious, there's a lot of information there, and you know, you're starting to think about what's going to happen each term. You know, how much time is committed to each of these elements. How does that differ between early career teachers and mentors? We've put together this document, which you can download from the website link at the bottom. If you're going to make any notes today, that website link at the bottom is the one I'm going to keep coming back to, because that's where we're hosting a lot of the resources for today's event, including downloading this. Well, it's not a diagram, it's more of a table, I suppose. What I've tried to capture here is an overview of year 1 and year 2 in terms of what it looks like for the early career teacher, but also what the experience is for the mentor as well, and how that breaks down into time across that period. The last table of the 3 is relating to the appropriate body remit, really. So where your induction lead is overseeing the assessment of the early career teacher, it's sort of a suggestion as to what they may be looking at any given moment. So as I say, please download that. I hope you find it really useful in terms of painting the picture of what the 2-year program looks like. I have mentioned already there the appropriate body functions. You know, this is a statutory function that every school with an early career teacher needs to continue to access. You know, it's not new, but it's new in that it's moved to a 2-year induction process. As a teaching school hub, we're expected by the Department for Education to also become an appropriate body, and we're just developing this service as we speak. We're hoping to do, I suppose, a little bit of a soft launch today with you, but a fuller launch straight after half term for schools. Now, what we're excited about is the fact that as a teaching school hub, we're in quite a unique position around the early career framework and being able to offer the appropriate body service alongside that. So we think we can deliver a seamless service which is unique to teaching school hubs. So we're able to build on what's happened in the initial teacher training. You know, we were able to build on the initial teacher training core content framework through the delivery of the early career framework, but then also support schools with the assessment of those early career teachers through that appropriate body offer. Now, because we're offering the full induction program of the early career framework, that's the program where you get most funding and most support from the department and then from us and Ambition Institute, because we'll see the data around early career teacher engagement and mentor engagement with the early career framework. It means we're able to step back from undertaking not only the fidelity checks around what your early career framework based induction looks like, but also the induction checks that need to happen by an appropriate body. So for us, that's really exciting because it means we can reduce your workload as teachers and leaders, but it also means we can reflect that in the cost of the service that we take forward. In terms of the next steps, again, sharing that website link for you to refer to for more information and downloads, including an updated slide deck from the Department for Education around the funding, for example, of the early career framework. You may remember when we did this event back in March, we shared a slide deck then. Those slides have been updated, so there's a latest version there for you to download. In terms of the next steps then, what we're looking for schools to do is, first of all, once you've appointed an early career teacher, and not before then really, if you want to access the early career framework through us, then please register your early career teacher, your mentor and your induction lead with us. And again, through that website link there above, it tells you exactly how to do this. Once you've registered with us, within a week, we will arrange for you to receive access to My Ambition, which is the online portal where you're going to access the training and support, not only for the early career framework, but also for the MPQs further down the line. We'll talk about those in another event. And at that point, you know, you're in a really good position then, ready to be up and running. Obviously, we'll be communicating training dates later in the term out to schools so we can support you to be ready to deliver the early career framework. The other step that you have to undertake as well is you have to register with the Department for Education's Manage My Early Career Teacher service, and this is a statutory requirement. So schools should have received an email last week from the Department for Education about this. It often goes to administrators on school reception or junk mail folders, so you know, it may not have been immediately apparent. But again, we've provided some instructions, including a short video on our website, just to tell you how to undertake that process. So it's a little bit clunky at the moment in the sense of you have to fill in a number of forms for us and the Department for Education, but it's just the nature of the beast of as a new program being offered out to schools. But we've made it as relatively painless as we possibly can by giving you really clear, concise instructions on our website in terms of how to sign up. The appropriate body service, again, we've published information on our website around that. There's an expression of interest form, and as I say, we'll do a hard launch in early June once our NQT manager system is up and running. So we're really excited, again, just going back to that diagram I used at the start of the session, just to introduce that, about that ability for us to be able to offer that seamless offer. You know, I think we're in quite a unique position there, really excited by that offer. Okay, so if colleagues are okay, we'll move on from the early career framework a little bit, but happy to come back to that if colleagues want to post any questions within the chat function. But I'll also share our contact details if you want to approach us afterwards. Our website is really rich now with information around the ECF offer and the appropriate body offer and what your options are as schools. So hopefully you'll find that really helpful and beneficial. Just want to finish really with some updates from the curriculum hubs and those organisations that are similar to the curriculum hubs. You know, we work really closely with our friends in the Maths Hub and the English Hub and the EdTech Demonstrator schools and so on. So I'd just like to very briefly introduce James Hoyle from Skipton Girls High School, who leads the EdTech Demonstrator School, just to give you a quick update on the EdTech programme.
Thanks, everyone. So I just wanted to let everybody know, and thanks for giving me the opportunity, Paul, that on the 25th of May, officially, the phase 2 of the EdTech Demonstrator programme is going to be launching. And the first phase of the EdTech Demonstrator programme helped thousands of schools up and down the country to enhance their remote education provision during the lockdowns. And we're now really keen, and the Department for Education is really keen, to take all of the amazing things that teachers did during lockdown and make sure that we really capture the incredible levels of skill and uptake in EdTech pedagogy, etc., that colleagues made over the last year, and make sure that we embed that for the long term. So I just wanted to raise awareness of this with schools across the Bradford area, that Skipton Girls is, as part of the Northern Star Academies Trust, a part of the EdTech Demonstrator Programme 2.0. And this is a fully funded scheme from the government, which will allow schools to access support of various kinds if they are interested in engaging with the programme. So we're ready and available to help support schools, not deliver, but to help advise, provide expertise, given the fact that we've been operating a one-to-one laptop scheme for 10 years and have garnered lots and lots of skills in how to make the best use of laptops to support learners in the classroom. So there's 3 levels of support. The first one is if you're interested in any advice or support with continuing to develop your remote education strategies, possibly around catch-up programs, then we'd be delighted to have a coaching session around that and help to strategize how that might be done most effectively. If you're looking to take things a little deeper, the second level of support, which would be about 15 hours or up to 15 hours over the course of the academic year, would be to help to support with 1 or 2 really focused EdTech initiatives across your school, using the data to try to really embed the use of EdTech for a very specific purpose. And if all that's happened in the last 12 months has encouraged your SLT teams to reconsider how they provide EdTech within your schools, there's a third level of support, which can be up to 30 hours of free guidance, resources and assistance if you're in a school which is interested in rolling out particularly one-to-one devices, but we're there to offer free support to schools who are considering big sort of infrastructure changes, systems changes, for example, then we can also provide support on that. There's an official launch event on the 25th of May for that, which will be promoted nationally by the Department for Education. But I hope you won't mind me just giving you an early taster. And as I say, do just get in touch if it's of interest or you'd like to find out more at the email address below. Thanks, Paul, for giving me the chance to share that.
Thanks, James, much appreciated. So just to conclude, we have a quick update from the English Hub over at Burley and Woodhead that Joe's provided today for me. So I'll let colleagues just have a quick read of that, just around some work relating to the validation of phonics programs and planning support. So there's some change afoot with the English Hub as well as the EdTech demonstrator. And then the English Hub has provided its email address there if there's any support you'd like to draw upon from them, including their fortnightly Ask a Literacy Specialist through some of the sessions they're offering there. The final slide just to share with you is the link through to, again, our website where we've uploaded all the resources to, and also our email address. Just to really recap in terms of the journey today, the Early Career Framework, it's a new program. We're really excited about it. We went through a really thorough due diligence process to choose to partner with Ambition over some of the other providers. We're really excited about the focus on coaching, because that ties into one of our big strategic aims as a teaching school hub. We think coaching is a fundamental aspect of all aspects of school improvement, whether we're talking about initial teacher training all the way through to executive leadership. And we're soon going to be launching our culture and coaching offer through the Bradford Opportunity area, as well as more of a commercial offer in terms of CPD programs that you can access should you want to. So we feel like we're building something that's really quite sustainable and really important for schools in Bradford and beyond. So we're delighted to be working with Ambition to bring you the Early Career Framework. Really excited to be able to couple that with an appropriate body service, and we're keen to keep talking to you about how we can support you and go on this journey to be ready for September to support your trainees. So I'll just have a quick look at the chat function. I can just see that one question's come through. Please can I explain the difference between ECT, mentor and induction lead? This is a journey I think we've been on over the last couple of weeks as well, just to try and get our head around this. So the early career mentor is the person who supports the teacher, the early career teacher, on a daily, weekly basis to support them to develop their practice. The induction lead can be referred to as 3 different roles at different times, 3 different titles we've discovered. So the induction lead is the same as an induction coordinator, which is the same as an induction tutor. It's the person who's responsible for assessment of that early career teacher. So just to be clear, the mentor and the induction lead role are 2 separate roles. They can't be undertaken by the same person. So you, again, need to be thinking about that. That's not specific to our programme. That's a statutory requirement as we move to a 2-year induction. So the assessment needs to be done by somebody who's more independent to the person who's been providing weekly support to their early career teacher. Next question is, am I right in thinking staff who have already started their MQT can't access the Ambition programme next year? That's right. This is for new enrolments of early career teachers, the first year of induction from September 2021. So it's not about anybody who's completing induction this year. For example, they don't progress onto the early career framework in their 2nd year of induction, so to speak. They'll have in fact finished induction. If you're part of the early career rollout, the early rollout of the early career framework this year, and you've been piloting some of the resources, would encourage that early career teacher to continue with their existing provider until the end of that 2 years, and then you migrate across to our Ambitions offer. So we appreciate that's not ideal in terms of that transition arrangement. We're in the same position as a trust ourselves, but we just feel this is the right offer for Bradford schools. And then another question that's come through, I heard that there could be this same person as they were, right? Sorry. So that's just a colleague just asking a question in terms of whether the induction lead and the mentor can be the same person. I think it can be, to correct myself, it can be the same person if you're in a very small school, a rural school, for example, but typically you're looking at colleagues having 2 distinct roles there. I hope that helps. As you can see on screen, you've got our contact details. Please get in touch if there's anything we can support you with. But other than that, thank you. Thanks to Leah. Thanks to Emma for your inputs. Thanks for James. Have a good rest of your week, and we hope to catch up with you soon.